Good morning, third grade. Today you have a lesson. It's lesson 90, but you're only going to do page 161, the front side, because the homework portion of it, I want you to be doing the test. It's a lot of review stuff, which is the same stuff that's on your test. But this is something that I just wanted to briefly go over with you. I think it's something you could probably figure out on your own, or you've already noticed, seen, you've used them in science, but they're circle graphs. And I want you to think about this in terms of fractions. It is a graph, and I want you just to make the connection that fractions are not just fractions. They are a part of a whole for a reason. And so this particular graph has shoes as the title. So the whole would be shoes. And then it's separated into parts of the whole. So it is a circle graph, but you might also think about a circle graph, a graph, more than just a graph. So a circle graph is a circle that's divided into sections, with each section representing one part of the data. And here it even says one part of the data. So the data is the whole, and then each section is one part. Use a circle graph to compare sections of data to each other or to the whole. So in this example, Mr. Frank made a circle graph to show the kinds of shoes his students wear to school. The graph shows which kind of shoes are the most and least common. So if it's a little harder to see on mine, the difference, it looks like this one's maybe the loafers are the gray and the sneakers are the purple. So therefore, sneakers are the greatest. And when I say think about it in terms of fractions, sneakers are even bigger than half, because if I think of, okay, if here's my half, sneakers are more than half of what kids wear to school, okay? And then that's going to come in handy to think about it in that term when we get to some of ours. I don't think it's today's lesson, but in other lessons where it will ask like, okay, which two people made up 1/4 of the graph? So like, here's my fourths. Now on this one, it's hard to tell, like none of them look like they're a fourth, but if I turn my circle around and I make my circle go this way, sorry, that middle line's not very, then the sandals is almost 1/4. Okay, so think in terms of parts of a whole, which is the same thing as think in terms of fractions. So this circle graph compares how many people live in 5 different small countries. The larger the section, the more people that live in that country. Use the circle graph to answer each question. So the first one, simple. Which country has the largest population? You look at the largest area, and that would be this right here. That is the largest, and so that's the one that you write on the line. Then it says which country has the smallest population. Okay, so now I look, which one's the smallest? It looks like this one, so that's what you write on the line. Some interesting country names. Okay, then the next one. Which 2 countries have nearly the same number of people? So nearly means almost. So which 2 countries have almost the same amount? Okay, well, the biggest one and the smallest one, we said that they're the biggest and the smallest. And so we can eliminate those 2, because if it was really close, we would have not known which one is the biggest or smallest. Okay, then it looks like this one doesn't match any others, but yet this one and this one look pretty similar. So you're going to write those 2 names. And then which 2 countries together have about the same population as Andorra? Okay, so Andorra, if I look at how big that is. It's about a third of my graph. Okay, now it wants two countries together that can equal about a third of the graph. Okay, so these two here are really tiny, and so they do not yet equal a third. So sometimes it's not necessarily the one side by side, but since this is our first lesson, it is side by side. Okay, so if I look though and were to draw my line of symmetry, these two here would fold over and almost match Andorra. So those are the two countries for that answer. Next one says, which country has about 1/2 as many as Paola? Okay, so let me erase all my markings here. Okay, so if I'm looking at Paola, which one has about half of that? Well, that one's a pretty small one, and half means less. Like here would be half of it. And so there's only one that is even smaller than it. So Nauru would be half the size of Palau. Okay. Next one. Which countries together have nearly 1/2 of the total population shown? Which two countries together have nearly 1/2? Okay, so if I'm looking, that Andorra is already almost half. Well, which one with it? So if I can do half this way, or I could do half this way. Okay, well, which one goes with it to make almost a half? My yellow line touches the yellow line, or the edge line of Nauru. So Andorra and Nauru. Okay, and then finally the last question says, which countries together have a little more than 1/2 of the total population shown on the graph? Which countries together have a little more than half? Okay, so we just said that this one and this one almost made a half by using the line right here. And so which ones go a little bit more than half? Well, it would be these three here, the three that we didn't use on the last question. All right, and that is all I want you to do for this lesson today. So be prepared for in the coming lessons to think about circle graphs, but think of them also as fractions. Okay? All right, good luck. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.